It was a crisp morning in San Francisco, and my partner Emma and I found ourselves in a Motel 6 on the outskirts of the city. The neon sign flickered outside, casting an eerie glow on the worn asphalt. We were on a road trip, exploring the beauty of California, but little did we know that our stay at this motel would turn into a nightmare that still haunts our dreams. The motel room was a nondescript space, complete with the faint scent of bleach and the hum of a malfunctioning air conditioner. We had chosen this place for its budget-friendly allure, unaware of the shadows that lurked in the corners of the seemingly innocuous establishment. As the night settled in, we heard the distant sounds of the city, a mix of sirens and the low hum of traffic. Sleep beckoned, and we succumbed to its embrace, unaware of the horrors that awaited us in the dark hours before dawn. A sudden knock shattered the silence, echoing through the stale air of our motel room. Groggy and disoriented, I stumbled to the door, rubbing the sleep from my eyes. Peering through the peephole, I saw a disheveled figure standing in the dimly lit corridor. "Open up! You've got my clothes!" The stranger's voice was urgent, bordering on desperation, but there was an unsettling edge that sent a shiver down my spine. I exchanged a bewildered glance with Emma, who clutched the motel-provided blanket tightly around her. The stranger's demands grew more insistent, his fists pounding against the door like a relentless storm. Fear gripped us as we realized the gravity of the situation. This wasn't a simple case of mistaken identity. It was a dangerous intrusion into our sanctuary. We hastily pushed the motel furniture against the door, our makeshift barricade the only defense against the unknown threat outside. The stranger's threats escalated into frenzied shouts, and the atmosphere in the room thickened with tension. We huddled in the corner, frantically dialing 911, our voices trembling as we relayed the details of our harrowing predicament. Minutes felt like hours as we awaited the arrival of the police. The stranger's fervent attempts to break in continued, a relentless assault on our fragile sense of security. Shadows danced across the walls, and the flickering motel room light created a surreal tableau of fear. Finally, the distant wail of sirens pierced the air, and the stranger's demeanor shifted. He muttered something unintelligible and, with one last violent bang on the door, vanished into the pre-dawn darkness. The police arrived, their presence a welcome reassurance in the aftermath of the confrontation. They searched the premises but found no trace of the mysterious intruder. It was as if he had melted into the shadows, leaving behind only the lingering echoes of his haunting threats. As the sun rose, casting its golden light over the city, we packed our bags with trembling hands. The once charming streets of San Francisco now felt like a labyrinth of potential dangers. Our road trip continued, but the sense of safety we once took for granted had been shattered. In the quiet aftermath, I reflect on that fateful motel morning, haunted by the realization that danger can lurk where you least expect it. My advice to anyone listening is simple: trust your instincts. If something feels off, don't dismiss it as paranoia. It might just be your intuition, your internal alarm system, warning you of a threat that could save you from a nightmarish encounter. In the end, the city's allure may be captivating, but never let it blind you to the shadows that dance in its corners, waiting for the perfect moment to intrude upon your sense of security. The year was 1984, and my family of 6 found ourselves teetering on the edge of financial ruin. The bleak reality forced us into a cramped motel with peeling wallpaper and flickering neon lights, a place where desperation clung to the air like a heavy fog. One chilly night, as the wind whispered through the cracks in the motel walls, a foreboding shadow appeared at our window. At first, it seemed innocent, just a passerby casting a silhouette against the dim glow of the street lamp. I dismissed it as a trick of the light, a product of weary eyes and an overactive imagination. But as the nights wore on, the shadow returned, a lurking presence just beyond the thin veil of our curtains. I could feel its gaze, an unseen force that sent shivers down my spine. Perhaps it was the stress of our dire circumstances, but a palpable sense of dread settled over our makeshift home. One evening, curiosity overcame my trepidation, and I cautiously peered through the window blinds. The sight that met my eyes froze the blood in my veins. An unnaturally tall figure, its features obscured by darkness, standing motionless in the night. Fear gripped me as I stumbled backward, the reality sinking in that we were not alone. I confided in my wife, and together we kept a vigilant watch, hoping the shadow would fade into the night. But it persisted, a constant companion in our already fractured lives. The children sensed the tension, their innocent laughter replaced by hushed whispers and fearful glances at the window. One restless night, driven by a mix of desperation and anger, I decided to confront the mysterious figure outside our window. As I swung the door open, a gust of wind extinguished the flickering motel sign, plunging the surroundings into an inky darkness. I strained to see, heart pounding, but the shadow eluded the feeble light. "Fear not," a voice guttural and otherworldly whispered from the abyss. I recoiled, my breath catching in my throat. The figure remained a mere silhouette, its intentions veiled in uncertainty. Panic surged as I realized our sanctuary had become a prison, and the shadow, a malevolent force, sought something beyond our understanding. With each passing day, the motel room felt smaller, the walls closing in on us as the ominous figure grew bolder. It stood closer, its presence more tangible, a dark omen that eclipsed any semblance of normalcy. Sleep became a distant memory as we lived in perpetual fear, our once-loving family unraveling at the seams. In a final act of desperation, I decided to seek help from the motel management. To my horror, they revealed that no one had occupied the room next to ours for years. The room the shadow seemed to call home. The realization that we were tormented by an entity not of this world sent shivers down my spine. In a twisted turn of events, the motel's history unraveled before us, a tragic tale of lost souls and unspeakable deeds that had stained the very foundation of the building. The shadow at our window was a manifestation of the motel's dark past, a restless spirit seeking solace or retribution. As the truth unfolded, we faced a harrowing choice: confront the entity head-on, or abandon the motel, leaving the darkness behind. In a final act of defiance, we chose the former, our collective fear transforming into a resilient resolve. The night we decided to confront the shadow was an indelible blur of fear and adrenaline. We faced the window, eyes locked on the looming darkness. As the first rays of dawn broke, the shadow dissipated like mist, leaving behind an eerie silence. Advice to you, dear listener: be wary of the places you seek refuge, for sometimes the shadows that linger may not be cast by mere objects, but by the haunting echoes of the past. And when faced with the unknown, choose courage over despair, for even in the darkest moments, the light of resilience can banish the most malevolent shadows. The casino lights shimmered in the distance as my girlfriend Emily and I stumbled out into the chilly night air. Our mini-vacation had been filled with laughter and the thrill of the casino, but as the clock struck midnight, an unsettling chill gripped the air. The neon lights cast an eerie glow on the deserted streets as we made our way back to the budget motel we had chosen for our stay. The motel, a tired building with flickering lights, loomed ahead like a ghost in the darkness. A feeling of unease settled over us, but we brushed it off as fatigue. As we entered our dimly lit room, the worn-out carpet beneath our feet seemed to absorb the sound of our footsteps. The bed creaked as we collapsed onto it, exhaustion replacing the excitement of the night. However, the unsettling feeling lingered like a shadow in the corner. A sudden craving for snacks prompted us to venture out again. As we returned, navigating the labyrinthine corridors, Emily paused, her gaze fixed on the room across the hall. The curtains twitched, revealing a glimpse of a face, pale and expressionless. The stranger disappeared from view, leaving us frozen in a moment of confusion. Dismissive laughter bubbled from our lips as we entered our room, chalking it up to tired minds playing tricks. Yet, as the night deepened, a nagging feeling persisted, an unspoken fear that whispered in the quiet of the room. Deciding to put the strange incident out of our minds, we settled into bed. The silence outside was broken by the distant hum of a car engine, the occasional laughter of night owls, and the relentless ticking of the clock. Sleep eluded us as the minutes turned into hours, each passing moment amplifying the unease. Then, a low growl sliced through the silence. My eyes shot open, and I felt Emily tense beside me. The growl grew louder, accompanied by the muffled sound of footsteps in the corridor. Panic clutched at my chest as the growl transformed into a ferocious barking, echoing through the narrow halls. I leaped out of bed, heart pounding, and peered through the peephole. The strange man from across the hall stood there, a sinister smile etched on his face. He released a massive pit bull, its eyes gleaming with malice. The dog's growls reverberated, sending shivers down our spines. Fear gripped us as the man whispered through the door, "Meet my friend. Hope you enjoy the show." With that, he disappeared into the shadows, leaving us trapped in a nightmare. The dog lunged at the door, claws scratching against the wood. Panic set in as we searched the room for anything to defend ourselves. The clock's ticking seemed to mock us as the door creaked under the dog's relentless assault. Emily grabbed a lamp, and I clutched a chair, our makeshift weapons against the impending threat. Just as the door began to splinter, a sudden silence fell over the room. The dog's aggressive growls ceased, and the corridor fell eerily quiet. Dread hung in the air as we cautiously opened the door, half expecting an ambush. To our astonishment, the corridor was empty. No man, no dog, just the flickering lights casting long shadows on the worn carpet. The strange encounter left us shaken, questioning the motives of the man and the safety of our stay. As dawn broke, we hastily packed our bags, leaving the motel behind. The sun's rays painted the sky in hues of orange and pink, but the darkness of that night lingered in our minds. The advice we offer to anyone on a midnight adventure: be aware of your surroundings and never underestimate the thin veil between an ordinary night and the terror that may lurk just beyond the curtain.